Steve and I have a 2006 Ford Explorer. The shop here, we're getting ready to replace the oil pan in it. So I'll show you what's involved with doing this.
All right, we're going to go after the oil pan gasket on this, and the pan's not rotted, so we're going to change the gasket. We got a drip in the back here, and you know, it could be this car has some mileage on it. This truck does, so you know, the customer wants to at least try and change the oil pan gasket. It's kind of a quick thing. We're doing an oil change on it, so we're kind of halfway there, and we'll see if it, you know, stops his drip. It's not pouring on the ground, but this particular customer really stays up on his vehicle, so we'll try and change the gasket and see if that, you know, is a problem. Now there is an upper gasket block pan here too. There's an intermediate one and the lower one, and we're not getting into the intermediate one because you got the transfer case that would have to come out, and we're just going to see if this slows it down for him. So we got a 13 millimeter socket on for the drain plug, and we're going to pull this out, drain it, and we'll start cracking 10 millimeter bolts loose. And we're also doing an oil change on this. We've done a video on the oil change before. Get this out. And with the gasket kit, the oil pan gasket, they gave us a new drain plug gasket, a couple of different types. So we'll replace the gasket on the drain plug and start off fresh. So we'll get the oil drained out of it, and we're going to change the filter right now while we're in here. So we got the pan gasket kit here, and we open it up, and they gave us two gaskets. And so I got this hard, thick plastic one that don't really look like it. Then we have this rubber style one that's pretty penetrated because it's been in there for a while, and this looks more like this one. So we're going with this style gasket. It fits right down and recesses into the plug like that. So this one's good. So we'll install this back on the pan. This is a spare one. You possibly could have used this one as well. It's just what type do you like to use, and I'm going to use the original style, which was, you know, this one's kind of hard and penetrated, but it was soft like that one. So we're going to use this one. We'll keep this one for a spare. So we'll throw this in right now. And we'll just snug this up, and then we're going to start taking the 10 millimeter bolts, and you just got to snug this up. You don't have to kill it. So we'll put our ratchet pack on it, tighten it down. So we got our 13 millimeter. Snug it up, wipe it down, and we're going to change the oil filter, and then we'll start taking 10 millimeters down. Okay, so we're going to start cracking these 10s loose. There's a couple here. This one I'm going to need a swivel on, but they're all cracking loose. So I'm going to get them to crack loose, and then I'm going to put the impact gun on it to zip them down quicker.
What's this, a 10 millimeter socket?
Yeah, 10 millimeter. And we bought a Felpro gasket. It's like a rubber and steel style gasket. We'll show you that. And we'll put this on. I'm just going to get these all to crack loose first. That. Get that one loose. That one. I'm going to get a swivel to get this one right here. Okay, so we got that one cracked, so let's take this one out first, and then I'll get my zip gun and we'll get the rest of these out. We're going to start these all by hand and then finish tightening them by hand. And leave one bolt in and try and crack this thing loose. So So we got this center one on the front that's just hanging here. We started backing it out a little bit. We're just not going to take it all the way out. We're going to get something to pry this gasket down. I'm going to go get a pan underneath here, so nothing should leak out. It's just going to do a little dripping, but we'll get a pan underneath. So we got a little pry bar here, and we're going to work it underneath here. Get this thing to separate. It's a metal line gasket, so it's going to feel like it's glued. We're going to get a little hammer and tap it in there. We're going to let that drain down for a couple minutes. We'll take the last bolt out and we'll pull the pan down.
So I just want to say one thing. If you're using this method, you want to be careful. You don't want to gouge that. Trying to pry out the pan.
Yeah, this is the bottom of the oil intermediate pan. It's aluminum, so we're very tapping very gently on it. We got it to crack loose. And we'll get that last bolt out. We'll get the pan down here. We'll wipe it all down inside and get the new gasket on. I'm going to take the last bolt down. Okay, should be able to sneak this right out. Okay, so get the pan down. Here's the gasket, and it's stuck on there pretty good, so we're gonna peel it off. So it's starting to deteriorate, so we're gonna get a scraper underneath here to clean this off. It's almost welded itself to the pan, so yeah, we'll scrape this all off, get it all cleaned up. And we're gonna wipe down the intermediate cover here nice and clean. Our screen looks nice and clean. This guy really takes care of the oil on this, so it looks nice and clean in there. So, and if we have to take this intermediate cover down at some point, it's like you got 2 bolts there, 2 here, and 2 here. So there is some internal bolts here to take down as well. We're not getting involved with that today though. All right, so let's get this pan cleaned up. So we're just gonna use the razor. Everything's stuff on there good.
Kind of work your way around the pan.
Yeah. It's got a couple of nipples here that are hard. Let's see if we can pull it with the plastic and, with some pliers and get this thing to roll up a little bit. Seems like the gasket is just separating. So we scraped that gasket down clean, and we're feeling it, and everything feels smooth with it. We wiped it all down. So we're going to take a small thin coat of grease, put it on here, and then we got our gasket. It has these little nipples that stick out. It'll poke through, and we'll line up our gasket, get the nipples through here, and then we'll have grease on both sides. So we're going to do some grease on this one right now, like we do on most of our gaskets that we replace. And then when we tighten up the gasket, you'll see a little bit of grease oozes out the side, so we know that we have an even tightening surface. So we know everything tightened down nice, and that's kind of the reason that I do the grease when I do gaskets. And then we'll just, run our finger around the edge of the pan after it's up in place and wipe everything down so it's nice and clean. Okay, grab our gasket, line up the nipples, push it through. Now these have, I'm probably going to grab them from the other side here, pull them through with some pliers. Very gently. There it goes. Just popped right into place. Whoop, that one came off.
Nice job, Steve.
Yeah, jeez.
It's all fun and games. They pull your nipples off.
Yeah, that one popped through. Yeah. Okay, that one popped through. I guess just keep your finger on the backside pushing on it, so. Alright, that one's through.
Yeah.
It's a broken nipple. But
It's a
in
damage.
there.
You damaged your nipple.
Okay, alright, so. Alright, moving on. So we're gonna grease this top side of it now. And it's pretty much where your rubber side of the gasket is here. You know, some guys put them up dry. I like to just put a little bit of grease on it. And then, like I said, when we tighten it down, we're going to see the grease come out the edges, so we know we've got a nice, tight, evenly tightened surface. And it's nice with these line-up nipples they have in it. The gasket ain't going to slide on you or anything. So. Alright, so we got this all lubed up, and we're just going to take a couple of bolts here and just put little dabs of grease on them, you know, so that as they're going up there, the threads aren't dry anymore. So, if you have any bolts that have oxidation like this, we're going to run them on the wire wheel. This is going into aluminum, and you got steel bolts. So you always got to watch out for that. And it looks like we only got one that's really oxidized. This one's got a little. We'll clean this one too. Alright, so we'll get a couple of bolts. We'll take our pan. We have to clean our surface, almost forgot. Okay, I'll wipe this all down. This is nice and clean. The gasket came off nice in one piece, you know. So we'll run our finger over it, make sure it feels good. Nice and smooth. There's no edges, there's no burrs. Okay, that feels good. Like I said, we checked our screen. The screen's nice and clean. So, alright, we're ready to get that gasket and pan. We'll catch a couple of bolts on the easy side down here, and we'll start tightening them up. Okay, so we got our pan, we have to slide it up into place, and then come back. And I'll catch a corner bolt over here. I'll catch the easy ones down here. Didn't catch up front there, much as I thought it did. All right, we got these two started. Now we're going to get our extension, and we'll start the rest of them. Start threading these in.
Catching all these by hand.
Yeah.
And once you get them caught by hand, you can zip them up with your ratchet.
Yeah. You want to cross thread these. Yeah.
Nah, that'll make a bad day.
Yeah. Try this one in a different hole. Let me get these all started. So we got them all started. We're just going to snug them up. We're not hitting them with this thing. And then we're going to hand tighten them. We got the one that we have to use a swivel on. So there's a metal ring in this gasket, so you really can't over tighten it, and you just want to get it snug. So I'll get this set up on this one first.
And again, you're just snugging this stuff.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
need
it.
to crank on it because
Nope.
I'm not breaking a bolt and that'll make for a bad day.
Yeah.
And with the driver we just used, we're just using that to speed up the process a little bit. We weren't cranking on the thing.
Right. And this one, I'm actually gonna come back to that one with a 6-point socket. And let me see, I get this extension, this swivel off here. Yeah, just snugging that up. And like I said, it's got the steel ring in there, so you're just snugging these up. You don't have to hammer them down. Socket for that one that I need the swivel on. Make sure I get a good grip on it. Same thing with this one. Yeah, this one's bolts heads deteriorate a little bit, so I'm going to get a 6-point for this one and for the one back here. I get a deep 6-point for this one, and I think I can probably get it in. Yeah, I gotta get a shallow one for that one. I'm going with a little quarter drive 10 for this one, 6-point. And that's it. So we're gonna wipe this all down. Now if you notice, you get the grease coming off the side of the pan over here, all up in here, because it oozed its way out. So we're just gonna wipe this all down with our finger, and then we'll end up wiping the whole pan outside of it down, make sure it looks nice and clean. We know our gasket tightened up evenly. Everything went up nice, and we'll wipe the whole pan down now so it looks nice and clean. Doesn't matter what the roads around here, it's going to look all crappy in a week with the weather.
So after that, you're just going to fill up the motor with oil again?
Yep, it's going to fill up the 5 quarts, and that'll take care of it.